Welcome, everyone. We are so excited for you to be with us here tonight as we learn all about Code Jumper and how coding can help your student.
Thank you.
We are so excited to be here with Katrina, who is our project manager for everything Code Jumper and all sorts of exciting stuff. So Katrina, take it away. We are so excited to hear all about everything you're going to offer Code Jumper.
First of all, thank you everyone for being here on this chilly evening or warm evening, depending on where you live geographically. Um, with internal meetings, I typically like to start off with a joke. So, being that it's November, it's still kind of fall. There's a good one for computer science. Why can you not use the password beef or yes, yeah, why can you not use the password beef for your password on your computer? Because it's not stroganoff. And stroganoff is a type of food that is served when it's fall. My name is Katrina. I was a teacher of the visually impaired. I loved working with students. Honestly, I miss it a lot sometimes, but I love what I do at APH because I get to remember the students that were on my caseload and their families and what their needs were, and try to push that forward here at APH. And then I have a bunch of other certifications, just a lot of fancy jargon to say ACVREP has all my money. So thank you for being here with me tonight. So on our agenda, we have what is coding. I'm going to share some Code Jumper resources with you. I'm also going to talk to you about the Code Jumper puzzles, and then I'm going to share more resources with you because who doesn't like resources? And I'm also going to take your questions. If you could either write your questions down or type them in your phone and then at the end, save them till the end. If we do not get to all of your questions, you can email me. I'm going to share my email now and I'll share it again at the end. So Melissa, if you can put it in the chat, that would be great. My email is K as in koala, B as in boy, E as in Everest, S as in Sam, T as in Tom. That's kbest@aph.org. I do respond to all of my emails. I'm just super slow. Ask my boss, he's on this call, but I will respond to you. So, what is coding? In a simple definition, coding is the process of creating a set of instructions to communicate with computers. I started watching some free content on coding to see what's out there, and I did see a great explanation. I don't have it for you on a slide, but it's basically input that then goes into this black box that our computer figures out what to do with it, and then it's output. So with Code Jumper, the input are the pods. So students are turning the dials and they are manipulating the sounds that go into the computer program. And all of the coding to manipulate those sounds are happening within the app, and they don't need to know how that works. And then the output are the sounds that they're hearing. And that could be a joke, a story, or a rhyme. There's even videos that teach you how to upload your own sounds so your students or your children can decide, I want to record something and upload their own sounds into Code Jumper. We don't have too much documentation on that yet, but if that's of interest, again, my email, pop me an email and let me know. So one of the best places to go for Code Jumper resources is the Code Jumper resource page, and that is found at codejumper.com. I do have it later on in the PowerPoint, and I can also dump it into the chat later. And so for CodeJumper resources at codejumper.com, the CodeJumper puzzles, which we're going to talk about next, it lives on this page, as well as the Microsoft Learn course. And that was specifically designed for teachers. Even though you're a parent, this website and all of the resources are available for you. One other thing I want to mention, and I did not put this in my PowerPoint, nor did I make a little video to show you this. It might be small for those of you watching on your phone if you're driving and like working extra jobs. Thank you for everything you do. So I'll try to describe this. So in the top right corner on codejumper.com, lives something that's a drop down menu. And currently, we would be viewing this page in English, but it's available in 7 different languages, the curriculum and the website. The 7 different languages are English, German, Portuguese as spoken in Brazil, Spanish as spoken in Spain, French as spoken in Canada, French, and then Spanish as spoken in Latin America. So if there's a language that you or a friend speak and you don't see it on here, again, send me an email and we'll work with you. But we do recognize that this country has more than one language and we want to be accepting of everyone. So where should you start? I will say, even when I got CodeJumper as a product manager, I was like, oh my gosh, where do I start? There's so much there. And I am going to recommend that you begin with the videos. So I have a link for the videos, and you're probably wondering, well, why would I begin with a video if it's visual? That's something we do very well at APH. They are described. So in the videos, they're going to describe each of the pods, what they do, and how they feel. So I would definitely start with those CodeJumper videos. And that is further down on this page. This is a screenshot of that page, codejumper.com, specifically the resources tab. Then I would move to the lessons. The lessons were written more for teachers, and they are available in those 7 different languages that I mentioned. But I think as a parent, you can go through them. I mean, you all were parents during COVID, right? So you earned your honorary teacher degree from APH University, let's say. So after you go through the lessons, then move on to the puzzles. You could say, you know what, Katrina, I ain't got time for lessons. And my child is not going to sit there through those. So if you wanted to, I would just do the videos and then jump to the puzzles. But that's up to you. Some people are logical and they want to go in order. So then I would go those directions. Oh, I did move through it. I did have a little video there, but without audio. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is the star of CodeJumper. And I do want to also throw this in here. I do have it on this slide. I was maybe speaking too soon. So first I'll describe CJ. So CJ is the star, and he's the star of our lessons and our puzzles. CJ is a blue cat-like creature that isn't from Earth. And I don't know if you can see him. You can't see him, but on the bookcase behind me, I have a little CJ plushie that I believe Abby and Leslie Knox from Dot 6, go Leslie and Abby, they designed the CJ plushie based off the drawings with Robin and Beth from I2E, and then Matt Pope, go Matt Pope, Karen Pope's son. She's a product manager over so many products for those of you that don't know, but he did all of the lovely drawings here. So this is a giveaway moment. So I mentioned there's a plushie behind me that you can't see. If you or your child during the National Coding Symposium, which I'm going to jump down to that in a second, do some sort of coding activity during that week, which is December 4th through 6th, I would like you to send me a picture or a video with a description of what you did. It doesn't have to be CodeJumper. It could be like writing the steps out for making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you send that to me, I will email it to Dot 6 and we will send you a CJ plushie for you and your child. So I'm excited to share that with you. So then the puzzles, there are 8 of them and they're super cool. We've got Explore Planet Jupiter, CJ gets a job, CJ learns about the water cycle, where be the treasure? Quit diddling around, a day at the amusement park, where to go next, and the great send off. There are so many fun things you can do. Each one of these comes with an audio. So it's like one of our outstanding narrators, which we get a lot of them that work on movies into the APH studio. I live in Florida, so I don't get to see that. They narrate all of these things, and so our students can listen to them, or they can read the Braille Ready formatted file, or they can read the accessible PDF. And I do have a video that I may share out. If you want to see it, you can email me for either any of those puzzles. And I have videos where I recorded myself going through those puzzles step by step, and I could send them to you. And so it's super fun. It's way more fun than the lessons, but don't tell anyone I said that. But it's important to learn the lessons. So what happens with these puzzles? You get that Braille reading practice that I mentioned. You go through the executive functioning skills. You get some coding. Students, if they're working together, if you have 2 children or 3 children, and by the way, Code Jumper is not just for students who are blind and visually impaired. It's actually being used in the gen ed setting. So if you have a child, they could work together with another child and you'd get that cooperation and collaboration. There's multiple discipline opportunities. It's great for occupational therapy because you're doing all of this fine motor by twisting and turning the dials. And we're working on computational thinking, which involves thinking logically and thinking in order and debugging and figuring out what's wrong. And then the expanded core curriculum, which we have some great webinars on that. And then this is some more technical stuff, but I'm going to scroll through these pretty quickly because I really want to um, get to some resources and then some questions. I was going to show you a video of a puzzle demonstration, but I will email that out if you'd like it. So there are some resources for Code Jumper that I mentioned earlier where I said you should go through the videos and then you should go through the lessons, etc. And there are other resources as far as how can you get Code Jumper, because I think I have it in my question slide. Folks usually ask me, what is the cost of Code Jumper? Code Jumper is $999. If you live in a rural area, so you'd have to look to see, because every year things change. There is this great resource that Mike Wood, my boss, found, and he shared it with the STEM team, and it's called the Rural Technology Fund. I have a link for how to apply for grants here that you can share with your child's teacher, whether it's the teacher of the visually impaired or their classroom teacher too. And then you can apply for grants to the teacher could apply for a grant for technology for the child. It doesn't have to be APH products. It could be all sorts of products. They even do like grants for communication devices. They like to see a product benefit more than one student if possible, but they are open to specific needs as well. The grants range from between $500 to $2,500. So the second slide that's super important for resources is the APH National Coding Symposium. Remember when I mentioned the plushie? This is taking place December 4th through December 6th. And I have a link for you. And what they're going to do is they're going to talk about Code Jumper, but they're also going to talk about other programs and lessons that are out there living in the stratosphere that work for students who are blind or visually impaired. So products that APH makes, but also lessons and products that other schools for the blind are doing, or teachers of the visually impaired that are itinerant. So I encourage you to check that out. Another resource that we have here is the Hive, and specifically the Hive communities. I would join that if I were you. I would get on this as fast as possible. I can't remember, like flies on honey or something like that. So here specifically, try and join the accessible coding community, because there are so many resources on there. Like I couldn't even like list them in my slides, but we've got all the Code Jumper videos linked in there. The outreach team did a great job of that, as well as resources for Quorum and Python and different lessons for students who are blind and visually impaired. And then, of course, I've got a link for Code Jumper and our Code Jumper resources, where all the lessons, videos, and answers to your burning questions you can go through at your child's pace. And if I were you as a parent, I would preview it and then work with your child. All right, now I will take your questions. That went by so fast.
And I'm just unmuting and I'm putting all the links in that you have shared. Great resources. So I will ask the question because as a parent, I'm like, I know nothing about coding, period. And I'm openly going to admit this, and this is totally recorded. I'm well aware. So this kind of scares me, to be honest with you. And I've seen Code Jumper and I've seen amazing things. what would you tell someone like me as far as, I know that my middle school student, my child's learning coding. What would you tell me? Or to not be so fearful, or, the benefits of playing while learning. Oh, Katrina, you're muted. Sorry.
There we go. Sorry, thank you. There are so many benefits to learning coding, and if we were to be here, I would probably start pulling research articles and sharing them with you. Um, where do I start? So if you're thinking about like what's happening, if you look in the media, right, what's happening right now, there are talks on AI. The president is determining what is possible and what shouldn't be possible, and we're making rules and regulations. In order to in order to keep up with the world, we need to start focusing on coding, even if we're afraid of it, because that's what our children in the K through 12 and college sector, when they get out into the workforce, they are going to be expected to know some sort of form of coding, whether they're working with large language models or they're working with Python or SQL for searching databases. I really do believe that every single job is going to need it. But if you look at people who are really popular, like in the vision world, like Dr. Julie Haitman, she is using coding and CodeJumper to teach orientation and mobility skills. So if your child struggles with getting from the classroom maybe to the music room or to the bathroom or finding things around the house, you can the orientation mobility specialist or teacher of the visually impaired or you yourself could work with your child to record up to 8 different major things on their trip. And then after you record those steps, you can upload them into CodeJumper, which there's a video on the CodeJumper resource page on how to upload your own sounds, and then create a program where your child can then plug in the play pods, the blue pods with the sound dial, and then turn it so they hear each step and then play it, and you could let them know if they've got their sequence in order correctly, and then they could go execute the route. I could keep going.
That's so helpful. There are 2 questions, so I don't want to make it about me and my questions. Does CodeJumper help make it easier to learn coding?
Yes, I would say so. I had a teacher of the visually impaired come up to me at CSUN last year, and she said that everything that she's learned from coding, she started with CodeJumper. And the thing about CodeJumper is it teaches block programming, which Scratch, we love Scratch and MIT and the Lifelong Kindergarten Group. Here at APH, we have conversations with them behind closed doors, like trying to get their program more accessible. And this kind of teaches them that block coding. And it also makes sure that they're not left behind. Like we have a school district, I think it's Allegheny, and they're using CodeJumper in the lessons for all of their students in the gen ed setting. It's not just for the student who has a visual impairment in an IEP. Um, and we're also going to be releasing a Python side. So there's going to be a button in CodeJumper, and this is free. So like once you get the CodeJumper kit, after you purchase it, but you could download the app now if you wanted to. It just wouldn't work without the CodeJumper kit. There will be a button. We're hoping to launch it, I think, in January, but we've still got to do some field testing. And when you activate it, whether you're using key commands or clicking it, it will show all of the block code in Python. And then we're having a curriculum to go with that. So we're going to start building that bridge to a coding language.
That's amazing. So another question is, what about a blind adult who wants to pursue coding? I'd assume that, is this a good product for them to start?
We have some products that we'll be launching that are behind closed doors right now. One of them will be teaching Python and a screen reader, and that will be after CodeJumper. Adults could use this and just to kind of learn what a loop is, an if-else statement, because it's very physical. So like when you build that loop, you're actually feeling the loop because of where you're placing the chords. And then same thing with the if-else statements, which helps you form conditionals. So if you are someone that likes to learn by physically feeling some a representation model, then yes, adults could use this to start.
I feel like that would totally need to be me. Like I feel like it's such an abstract skill and thought process. I don't know, I appreciate it. Any other questions about coding? Has anyone used CodeJumper? Thoughts or feedback? Any other tips or success stories that you might want to share, Katrina, as people are popping those questions in there?
So earlier I mentioned the orientation and mobility. Um, there was a student that is considered neurodivergent. I think that's the politically correct term now. And they were really having trouble like getting their route down. And then a teacher used CodeJumper with them, and they were able to go from struggling with their route to they're perfect at it every single time now because of building that sequence with CodeJumper. I think it's also, I do want to say it's very important no matter how you choose to learn coding. And even as a parent, like just find resources. Like for myself, even I bought this book called Beginner's Step-by-Step Coding Course. And it's kind of thick, but like that's how I learn best is by reading. So whatever you can get your hands on to just get into the conversation and know the lingo. And the more you read it, the more or the more you read it in Braille or listen to it in a video or trial out CodeJumper or another resource, the more it will make sense.
It's amazing. I don't see any other questions, and I respect all the knowledge and I'm blown away. And now I'm feeling like I need to borrow one. Is there a book? Is that book available online or in EPUB?
It might be. And there's also another book. I can send these to you, Melissa, or
Yeah,
Brian, if you want to email me, or if anybody wants to email me and because they want further recommendations, I can send them some recommendations for some further reading. Because there are some good books that have been recommended to me that are accessible for people who are totally blind as well in terms of learning programming.
awesome. Katrina, I can't thank you enough. This was a whole lot of coding that I did not know about, and I'm excited to possibly get my hands on one and try and engage with it because I think it's fun, and I need to have that like tactile piece of it to really follow along. So I can't thank you enough, Katrina. It's been a pleasure and a joy hearing all about what you do with CodeJumper.
Thank you so much. And there's so many people that are on this product that I wish I could list them all, like Michael McDonald, Heather Kennedy McKenzie, Leslie Farnox, and of course my boss helps so much, Mike Wood. So there's a whole list of people that are helping on this product. And I can't thank you enough for everything you do and for all the parents and folks tuning in tonight. Thank you.
Awesome.